The BMC's P North Ward has issued a show cause notice to actor Mithun Chakraborty for alleged unauthorized construction of a ground-plus-mezzanine floor structure in Malad. Now, the notice, dated May 10th, warns of potential demolition and legal action under the Mumbai Municipal Corporation Act if a satisfactory explanation isn't provided. Now, Chakraborty has denied any unauthorized construction, stating that the notices were served to everyone and a response is being sent. Meanwhile, the BMC claims that the structures, including the mezzanine floors and temporary units, were built without permission. Now, activist Nadeem Sheikh questioned why Chakraborty's structure wasn't demolished during a recent drive that cleared 24 illegal buildings. Now, the BMC plans to demolish all the 101 unauthorized structures in the area by the end of May. On the broadcast, I'm joined by my colleague Anuj to get us more details. Anuj, help us understand here what are the violations that have led up to Mr. Chakraborty receiving the notice from the Mumbai Corporation.
This notice was sent to Mithun Chakraborty on 10th of May, by the P North block, and it underlines the clause or section 475A, which talks about the illegal structures. And this is clearly one such example, according to the BMC, wherein the legality of the structure has been overtaken by the mezzanine floor, which is there in place in the Erringal village as far as Malad region is concerned, where Mithun Chakraborty has his property. But it's not just about that. It also includes a couple of ground floors and a few temporary structures or temporary units which are 10 by 10 big. Now, what is interesting to know is that the BMC has already served notices to not just Mithun Chakraborty but to other individuals living in the same area who fall under this bracket of violating section 475A. But as you pointed out, Nadeem Sheikh, who is a local activist, has said that many other structures, action has been initiated against them and demolition drive has begun against them already. Whereas as far as Mithun Chakraborty is concerned, the BMC is still in the process of sending notices. Now, off the record, Mithun Chakraborty has stated it very clearly, has made it very clear that his team is in touch with the authorities and they've given the responses and they would continue to do so in the future as well. But the BMC would want a very strong and an elaborate reasoning or cause for this kind of structure. Otherwise, strong action will be initiated against him. It is important to note that this particular section of the Municipal Corporation Act is indeed a very serious one, as it does not include a hefty fine, but there is also a probability of the individual serving an imprisonment. Although very unlikely, but it is not completely out of cards at the moment. And this is not the first time that Mithun Chakraborty has found himself in such kind of controversy. If you remember, in 2011 as well, a similar kind of controversy resurfaced about Mithun Chakraborty's structure, about his property and its conflict with the BMC. Now, by the end of May, the BMC will be on a war footing, taking down a majority of these structures which are not completely legal. It is also a part of their drive, clearing out the illegal structures before the monsoon season begins. We also know that 134 dilapidated buildings have been recognized by them and action will be initiated against them, before the monsoon starts, just so that the authorities can avoid any sort of an untoward activity. And this current Mithun Chakraborty case also falls into the same criteria. It'll be interesting to know what is the next legal step taken by Mithun Chakraborty and whether or not he is able to, elaborate or in a way defend that particular structure. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Anuj, for getting us all those details. The Mumbai Civic body has, of course, placed, this notice, which is the show cause notice. And we also discussed how the local activist Nadeem Sheikh also has pointed out that it is not only Mithun Chakraborty who has, of course, received the notice, but several people in the area as well. But as you mentioned, there was also a demolition drive recently, and that did not affect Mr. Chakraborty's property there. So could you just help us understand what's really happening on the ground with the BMC and the demolition drive?
As far as the demolition drive is concerned, BMC made it clear that, considering from what was the experience of the authorities in the last few years, there were a few instances of the old dilapidated structures, those which are not completely legal, falling down. Some of them even caused harm to life in different parts of the city. And to avoid that completely, BMC, while presenting their budget a couple of months ago, had said it that before the monsoon season begins here in the city, and that is the earlier days of June, they will be trying to make sure that firstly all the road construction work is completed and no new construction will be started, and secondly all the illegal structures, in different parts of the jurisdiction of the BMC, they will also be acted against. So the area in question here is the Malad area, wherein where there's a specific small town named Eringal, wherein this particular structure falls under. Now there are several other structures to the owners of whom BMC has sent similar kind of notices. However, the activist claims that the notices have been sent in a very different manner. They know if the legality was to be followed completely by the BMC, then they could have very easily prioritized demolishing the structure of Mithun Chakraborty, but that has not been done. Of course, the BMC would have a justification stating that there's a particular order that they are following, and with still 10 to 12 days more to go for the demolition drive to end, they are trying to give a fair chance to everyone to justify or to reason out their particular structure.